Hey guys, it's Dan here from Wayne Manor, Rocket City. Long time no see. I know I've been out of pocket for a while, had some things I needed to kind of work through. Sometimes life gets in the way of collecting, and boom, that's where I found myself the last several months. But I am back. So good news on that front. I appreciate all of your support for those of you that have reached out. I didn't want to disappear altogether, so hopefully you guys didn't feel that way. But like I said, needed to take care of a few things, but we are all good. As a matter of fact, we're great. So with that, let's move on to my first review in a while. So if I'm a little bit rusty at this, please bear with me. But today I'm going to be reviewing this guy. This is Sideshow's new premium format, Gotham by Gaslight. And this one is based on the design of Richard Luong. And Richard is absolutely a fantastic artist. I'm sure you've seen some of his art. I believe he's been featured in some of the Sideshow art prints with Batman, etc. Absolutely great artist. Love his work, and he did a fantastic job on the design of this one, and we're going to get into that. From a sculpting standpoint, this one was sculpted by Romel Chopra, who's done a lot of great work for Sideshow also, and this one doesn't disappoint at all. I can't wait to kind of give you the zoomed in details on this guy for those of you who haven't had the chance to see him yet in person. One thing that's really interesting about this particular piece is kind of falls in line with Sideshow's new approach, as well as some of the other statue companies, where this is a really low edition size. He's been on wait list now for a while, only 300 of these being made. There's no EX, so what you see is what you get. Mine is number 236 out of 300, so I feel very fortunate to have had the presence of mind, so to speak, and know what I wanted when I went ahead and ordered him. But yeah, I'm really happy that I got him in. I'm super pleased with the end result. And let's dive into it a little bit now and get into the details. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about this afternoon with respect to this statue is a little bit about style and design and displayability. I don't have the measurements handy. I'm sorry guys, like I said, a little rusty, didn't write those down. This guy has a little bit of depth to him. A little bit of size when he's in a crouch position, which makes sense, but all that is, I don't think he's terribly difficult to display. He's a little bit deeper probably than your average format, but you know, no problem. I think you could display him easily on a 16-inch kind of standard shelf. But what I wanted to talk about is kind of the aesthetic of this piece. So he's a little bit different, right? Gotham by Gaslight featured Batman in a Victorian-era setting, almost a little steampunkish, which really appeals to me. It's one of the reasons that you see Frankie over here, the Olivia design statue from Sideshow. Absolutely love that piece. I grew up watching the Universal Monsters like I know a lot of you guys did, and this aesthetic really appeals to me, right? So I can't wait to get the Frankenstein monster in. That guy, he's gonna figure into this display somehow. I also feel like he kind of pairs really nicely with the Batman Who Laughs from Sideshow. Batman Who Laughs, if you look at his coat and his costume, is kind of steampunk, right? So I like that as well. So if you like steampunk and you like that Victorian era kind of monster verse, this is just a great kind of intersection of the two, of the Batman mythos as well as the monster verse. So I just wanted to put that out there. He's an extremely interesting piece. It's a great take on Batman, something a little different than, you know, what we typically see. But with that, I know you're dying. Let me kind of show you the details, dive in, and let's get some close-ups, okay? Alrighty, so let's dive in. Here we are with Batman Gotham by Gaslight. And yes, I will say that correctly by the end of the video. So we're gonna start a little bit differently. I figure I'd mix it up from Mr. BSC and start with the portrait. I love the portrait on this piece. I think his expression is one of determination, and I like the design of his face. It doesn't have that Jay Leno chin that kind of happens on some Batman statues. He's got the whited out eyes. I like the fact, and we're going to talk about the chimneys here at the base of the statue, that he's got this really kind of cool, he's got almost like it's soot around his face, you know? So back in the Victorian era, you know, the new industrial age, there was a lot of soot and air pollution and that kind of thing. And I think they've captured that here really well. So yeah, really happy with that. You're gonna see details like the stitching, if I can get it to focus, there we go. The stitching on his cowl, you know, has a more handmade appearance to it. I like the size of the ears that they put on there and the way that it really looks like just wrapped leather around his head. It's got a little bit more of the pointed nose kind of covering, or cowl component that covers his nose. Again, a little more oldie time. So let's move down the statue, right? So let's probably make sense to talk about his cape slash duster looking thing. So I love this. It's exactly the right aesthetic for the time period. Has that kind of cloak, riding coat, duster kind of look to it while still being a Batman cape, of course. I love the color they selected. It is definitely a blend of black and charcoal gray, as well as a little bit of brown. I was saying to the guys the other day when I first got this in on our private group that it kind of reminds me of, for those of you old enough to have watched Happy Days, it kind of reminds me of the Fonz's jacket, right? Where it kind of looked black in some light and it looked brown in other light. And I don't know, they just did a great job. They did an awesome job weathering the edges to make the jacket look worn. So even though I'm sure, you know, it's a pleather cape, of course, but they really did a great job of making it look like leather and using a great grain pattern on it. Just fantastic. Now, if we carry through over to, let's look at his left hand. And I apologize if the lighting's not great in here yet, guys, but I wanted to give you some close-ups of that. I mean, I love the buckles and the both subtle and not so subtle design choices they made for these to make them kind of period correct. But the gloves look fantastic. And then as you move along the suit, you know, see those subtle design differences to indicate the suit's age and the time period it was created. You look underneath and you see kind of the clasps and brass buckles and so forth that hold the suit together. The more, you know, crude stitching, if you will. And look, Batman's got knives, right? So that's kind of cool. He's got 3 knives back there. Those are attached, and I don't believe they're detachable. I don't recall. Sorry about that, guys. But you see the kind of more rudimentary or basic belt that he has, you know, for his utility belt. He's got a pouch over there in the back. And then you see the bat symbol that, again, with the more basic stitching. I just love the design choices, not over the top period. You know, one could almost presume they're period correct, but then you get to the boots and he's got the knee coverings with great leather-esque grain texture to them, and the buckles, and that design carries down through. The toe-capped boots, kind of oldie time, the strap covering them. I mean, just really, really nice design choices on the costume. Absolutely love it. And then, of course, hanging off of that back left hand, you have the grapple. It's a very large, you know, steel grapple, nicely weathered, not overdone. And then the rope is a wire, and it is posable, so you can kind of do with that what you need to and put the grapple in different positions if you like and so forth to change it up. But they did a really good job on that as well. Here's a view from the other side, another view of the gloves. Just a great job. And then if we move down to the base, you know, it's presumably, you know, probably a peak on a small chapel or church in, you know, one could imagine downtown London, or, you know, oldie time Gotham and, you know, Victorian-era New York City or something like that. Just a really nice job. I know when the piece first came out and the pictures were first released, there was some concern that it looked a little doghouse-ish because it was small and so forth. I don't know. To me, it's just the peak, right? It's a small building. It's just the peak. You get a little bit of that forced perspective out of this one in terms of, you know, how the designer and the sculptor and so forth is presenting it to us. We certainly don't need the top of this little church steeple to be the star of the show. So I'm really happy with what they did here. And I have to tell you, I know this is not going to come through on camera, but the smoke looks awesome. The paint, and I'm sorry that I don't know the painter's name off the top of my hand. It's Benito, I believe his first name is, and I don't recall his last name. Did a phenomenal job. They used some translucent resin in this, but they started with a darker kind of paint application with the gray and then went clear and a little bit of yellow, indicating again that dirty air kind of thing. So fantastic job. But you've got, I mean, look at the design on the chimney. Just fantastic, right? You see these old time steel gutters on the building, and you know, the various metals and brackets and so forth that would hold this type of structure together. I love the attention to detail. I know that there was somebody in the group, and I apologize, I don't recall who it was, but somebody recently added a puck light that I saw to theirs to kind of light up the underneath of that. I might have to steal that idea. I really like that. But there are two more chimneys on this side. There's some rebar and those kinds of things, as you often see from these types of designs from Sideshow, but they just did a really nice job. But anyways, long way around to, I love the piece. It's fantastic. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And, you know, once again, Sideshow really kind of keeping its unstated covenant of late with the community and keeping their prices reasonable. This guy was $705, and I think he's worth every inch of that. You know, is he a huge prime 1/3 piece? You know, no, he's not, but he's really well done. Everybody always likes to talk about presence, and you know, third scales have presence and quarter scales, and maybe. No, these guys they look phenomenal together. Yeah, third scales are great, but you know, these quarter scales, they hold their own, and then some. So, all right, with that, let me wrap things up. Well, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this short video, hopefully short video, where I review Gotham by Gaslight. As you can tell, I'm very excited for the piece. I really like it a lot. I love the way that it fits in my collection. And for those of you that are lucky enough to either have this on order, have it coming in, or have your wait list convert, you will not be disappointed in this piece. It is absolutely fantastic. So, cut. Wrap up part 2, take 1. So yeah, I think you're gonna love it. And with that, I'm gonna say, you know, take 2. All right, so with that, let's call it a wrap on this one, guys. I really appreciate, again, you taking the time. As far as what's coming up for me, I know that you're getting a little bit of a glance into one small side of Wayne Manor Rocket City here. I've promised for ages a room tour, and I promised I am going to deliver on that promise. So it is absolutely coming. The collection's in great shape. The displays that I wanted to set up, I finally got set up. So we are kind of through the gauntlet and on the other side, and you know, I hope to have great things to come. And speaking of that, I will have a large number of CGC collectibles that I'll be posting as available for sale from Wayne Manor Rocket City here in the days to come. So I have a very, very, very large project. I can't talk about it for a few weeks, but I have a very, very large project that I'm trying to fund. And so I'm going to be selling a significant number, a significant percentage of my collection. For those of you who know, I have several thousand books in my collection, and the project that I have coming up, it is very much worthy of parting with a good number of those books. So there's a lot of that to come. I have artwork that I'm going to be making available as well from my personal collection, some really cool pieces, so please stay tuned for that. Again, thank you for joining me here for the video. If you're new to the BSC channel, I would encourage you to subscribe. There's tons of great content. We have Rogues Gallery Live, where you get to kind of interact with those who are like-minded and enjoy the collecting hobby like we do. So I encourage you to subscribe. Please throw a like if you enjoyed the video or got something from it. It really helps the channel a lot. So with that, until next time, guys, Dan from Wayne Manor Rocket City is signing off here. I'll see you next time. All right, let's run test 1. This is take 1. This is take 1, test 1 for the Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Gotham by Gaslight review.